A very good morning to the students of class 8, and as we were discussing and revising your chapter which has already been completed, so we were discussing about the chapter of pollution of air and water, and this actually as we talked about in the last class about the air pollutants and what is global warming and also the greenhouse effects. So this, as we move on, we would like to talk about chlorofluorocarbon, which is also known as CFC. So C stands for chloro, fluoro stands for F, and carbon stands for C. So that means chlorofluorocarbon, and this chlorofluorocarbon are used, as you know, that they are used in refrigerators, they are used in air conditioners to give you the cooling effects, and also in aerosols. So what happens here is that they damage the ozone layer in the atmosphere. Now what is ozone layer? There is a layer which is composed of ozone just above the different layers of atmosphere, and this layer actually protects the harmful ultraviolet rays that comes from the sun to reach the earth's surface, because this ultraviolet rays that comes from the which is emitted by the sun rays, if they reach the earth, then the people or the living organisms are being harmed in a different way, because it attacks mainly is the main cause for skin cancer, and then also it causes other harmful effects. So that is why it also causes damages to eyes, and that is why these ultraviolet rays should be protected. Ultraviolet rays which is being emitted from the sun should be protected from reaching the earth's surface, and that is why it is very necessary that these ultraviolet rays emitted from the sunlight should not reach the earth's surface, so that the living organisms and the human beings are not affected by it, because it causes damages to the eyes and also to the skin, and it might cause, in severe conditions, it might cause skin cancer. That is why people who are fair skin, nowadays what you are being advised, you need to take a lotion when you go out in the sun, to take a lotion which acts as a sunscreen, and that is known as, that protects you from that ultraviolet rays or tanning of your skin. Actually that is not beautification, it is actually you are when you are applying the sunscreen lotion, when you go out in the sun, and then not only in the sun, because sun rays may reach even your rooms, in fact, so living rooms. So that is why you are always being advised that you should use sunscreen lotion when you go out in the sun. This is mainly because of one reason, that when you go out in the sun, then the ultraviolet rays that is emitted from the sun protects your skin from it, and that means because when ultraviolet rays reach the earth's surface, and then it attacks the human beings with because it causes skin cancer in severe condition. So that way when you are using the sunscreen lotion, and as I told you, that the people who are fair skin are more prone to this ultraviolet rays. That is why you are advised to use the sunscreen lotion. Anyway, that was away from your topic, but not away from the topic, but related, but this is not been mentioned in your textbook. However, this ultraviolet rays, because the pollution has increased to that extent, what happens is that when you are the layer, because the pollution has occurred, so there is a thinning of the layer and thinning of the ozone layer. Now what is ozone? In fact, ozone, the formula for ozone is O3, right? So what is ozone? That when generally we have three different forms of oxygen. That is, one is nascent oxygen. This is nascent oxygen, where the formula is only O, because you know that oxygen generally occurs as a means in the stable state, oxygen generally occurs in the as O2. That means it is a diatomic molecule. So the normal oxygen that we generally have, that means that is the air which we breathe in, right? Oxygen we breathe in, it occurs as a diatomic element, means because like for oxygen to be stable, two atoms of oxygen has to combine to give you an oxygen molecule. However, when you are talking about the nascent oxygen, that means it is a monoatomic oxygen and it does not occur as O2. That is why it is known as nascent oxygen. And when ozone, three atoms of oxygen combine together, that is known as ozone. And the above the layer of the atmosphere, this is being means the ozone layer exists, which prevents the ultraviolet rays from reaching the Earth's surface. And that actually, because when this ultraviolet rays means reaches the Earth's surface, then what happens, the ozone layer means as I told you, it affects the human beings and also the other living organism. So because the pollution of air has been increasing to that extent, that there is a thinning of this ozone layer up above the atmosphere, and there are some holes which are being created. So naturally, when the holes are being created or the ozone layer is being thinned, means the layer means the thickness of the layer is decreasing. So what happens, the ozone comes, the ultraviolet rays from the earth, emitted from the sun, reaches the earth's surface. So that is why, because chlorofluorocarbon is also responsible for that, because chlorofluorocarbon damages the ozone layer in the atmosphere. So that is why to prevent that, so nowadays chlorofluorocarbon is replaced by other compounds, and the damage to the ozone layer has been reduced to some extent. Now next is lead or lead, which actually what happens, when you go to the petrol pumps and all, if you observe carefully, you will find that it is written as unleaded compounds, unleaded petrol. That means the petrol which you are using in your fuel does not contain lead as a constituent of that fuel, because actually lead is added to the petrol to prevent engines from knocking. So when actually what happens, suppose you are in a room, your classmates are in the room, then you bounce back one student and the other one is bumped against another. So what happens then means the energy level of the people is being decreased. The same thing happens here also. When you are having a lead compound, then lead compound is being added, the element lead is being added to the fuel like petrol, then what happens, it causes knocking. So that decreases the efficiency of the fuel, and also it when it is being given out as an exhaust by the vehicles and the automobiles, then what happens, it is absorbed by our bodies, and they cause various problems such as mental disorder and also brain damage. So that is why it is very necessary that for our own survival and for your own survival, because you are the future generation, so you will be living on this earth itself. That is why you should be always concerned that you should give a helping hand and lend a helping hand to conserve air. So when you are conserving air, then what will happen? You are actually saving the atmosphere and also the environment. So the first way of conserving air is to plant lots of trees, because what happens, trees, they emit oxygen as a byproduct for when they go on for preparing their food, and carbon dioxide is being taken in by this plant for the process of photosynthesis, that is the preparation of their preparation of food by the plant. So that will allow you to, and that is why the environment gets more clean when you are actually planting more trees. So that is why you are always being advised, when you cut down a single plant or tree, then you should plant 10 saplings, so that the balance of air or pollution is being maintained. So I will end my class over here, and I hope you have a great time ahead. Do keep in touch with studies, and thank you very much.